Alrighty, welcome back, people, to another installment on the Special Educator Series. I am your host, Tom Hankins, instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. I am recording a new set of posts on being special. This is going to be special notes, and we're going to talk about the spectrum, being on the spectrum, life on the spectrum, things of that sort. So let's get over here and take care of some business before we get going. Our website, social media, and email information so that you can get in touch with us, follow us, like, subscribe, get notified, ask questions, and leave comments. My dancing icons down there suggest that. Share whatever you can. So the website is tsegrp.org. Again, tsegrp.org. Everything stems from that. Email host@tsegrp.org. Facebook, X, and Rumble at tsegrp. And let's see, YouTube, a little different, tsedgrp. Instagram and now LinkedIn have been added. The Special Educator. Again, the Special Educator for both of those. Let's get over to the full cam here. And you know what I'm going to do? I am going to turn off the music for this. I want to cover a few different things here today with you. I'm 59 years old. I have two sons. One has a master's degree from a prestigious university in chemical engineering. The other one is about to graduate high school, and we have other issues going on with that as well. But all of us share some same issues, so to speak, each in slightly different ways. So my perspective on this is that being a little different, having some learning disabilities, being on the spectrum, whether you have autism spectrum disorder or just some other disability that gives you a little bit of trouble learning, I want to talk about that for myself and both of my sons. So I have personal perspective, both as a parent, somebody who had issues or still actually has issues. You never get rid of the issues. And who is also an educator, a classroom teacher in middle school science primarily. And so I have a broad range of perspectives on the spectrum, being special. I really don't like that term. And the whole point, if you will, behind the Special Educator Series is to help others through my own experiences and that of my family, as well as some past experiences with other students that I'd worked with, to try and help you out. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm a father, a teacher, and a fellow human being who has been knee-deep in these types of issues most of their life. So hopefully you find this series good. Let's start with myself. For me, everything kind of changed in third grade. That is when I became even remotely aware of having some sort of different type of situation than my fellow students. As it happened in third grade one day, a principal came by with another staff member, and there was this contest where they're giving away a bag of gold foil covered chocolate coins. Just so you know, I'm not really much into chocolate. Any of you that know me personally, the few of you that already do, realize I'm not really into chocolate. Not that I can't have it, I'm just not too crazy about it. Anyway, the whole idea is whoever could spell the word sesquicentennial would get the bag of coins. Well, I did, very quickly, without much prompting, and it caused some issues with my teacher, the principal, the counselors there, and the other fellow students. At that moment, I had singled myself out unknowingly as a bit of an oddity. So the whole thing about sesquicentennial is it stands for the 150th anniversary of something. There's a bicentennial, there's a centennial, 150th is sesquicentennial. Anyway, I had seen, nobody asked how I did it, but I'm primarily a visual learner, so let me just go into this. I had seen the word in a newspaper that was sitting on the counter as I was having breakfast before I went to school. Yes, newspapers back in those days were the common thing. There wasn't internet. There weren't cell phones or anything else that you could do to look up. You had to look it up in books. You literally had to go to a library to get information. And there, of course, was broadcast television, which did help out a little bit. But I found the word curious. It is spelled Sesquicentennial. Another tip, I was also good at spelling bees when I was in grade school. So I visually looked at the word and kind of dissected, saying, wow, that's kind of weird, and figured out how to pronounce it. I got to school that day, and against the principal just happened to come around and go, "Ooh, I know that. I know that." In my mind, of course, part of my condition was being very shy and introverted, and quite frankly, I didn't participate in class all that much. I was very bored in class, is the truth of the matter. So as you can imagine, I'm putting myself in the position of at least the teacher who knew me. When I did that, I'm assuming that her jaw just about dropped and she probably fell back out of her chair almost. As well as the rest of the class kind of did their little gasp, like, what type of freak are you? You're what? Basically, that was the beginning of the end of being in third grade. I remember going to the counselor for quite a bit. I can't tell you how long or how many sessions there were. All as I know is I did not continue in the third grade, was removed, and for the following academic year was moved to a school much further away that was more challenging. It was a Lutheran coeducational grade school in an entirely different town. Being young, naive, quite frankly, didn't really care about what was going on. I just went along with it. I will say this, the change of environment was far more stimulating, far more involved. There was much more information and things to absorb and get involved with. Smaller classroom sizes really benefited me as well. I will say that I'm aware of at least 2, possibly 3 people that I would consider mentors that were present in that school through my 4th through 8th grade time. It prepared me quite a bit for one of the more challenging prep school environments. I actually attended high school, prep school at Detroit Catholic Central, and I thrived there as well. Very challenging, educationally rich environment. Adding to those two, the religious entities, Lutheran, Catholic, they're actually fairly similar, really was also a draw for me as well. Not just science and literature and sociology, but I became a science nerd. From 4th grade on through 12th grade, I was just soaking up anything science. Naturally, as you can imagine, when I got into college, those grade school and prep school environments did very well at preparing me for a private liberal arts university that I attended. And I'm not going to say names of where I went. That's irrelevant to this conversation. But I found myself rather bored there as well. So I took on college with a little bit different perspective. I wasn't really looking to learn so much as I was just to grow as a person. And so college really helped out quite a bit in that regard. After college, I had professional environments in business, industrial manufacturing, shipping, logistics, sales, all that other stuff. And then when I moved out of Michigan, I actually took up jobs that were in the geology field. As a person who has a degree in geology, I started out with a company dealing with groundwater assessment and development for municipal use. Then I got into environmental consulting, primarily dealing with hazardous waste spill response, release response, industrial safety, and compliance issues as well. All of that prepared me later on in life for entering the classroom. I became a licensed middle school general science teacher, mainly because I wasn't a one-trick pony. I just loved it all. Didn't matter. Did very well there. But here's where my condition, being special, Lord, I hate that. I really hate that term. But being a little different actually helped, because I could find similarities and empathize with other students that had issues and take what I had done through my life and help them adapt to the classroom environment and be, honestly, much happier. Morale went up, participation went up, grades always went up wherever I went. The sad part about it is it got other educators and department chairs and other principals a little upset. Because in order to get the results that I wanted, I have very high standards of myself, I had to change the plans. What I had been taught about having rigid lesson plans and things like that just didn't work. Honestly, I thought they're fine as a guideline, but just I would very oftentimes take opportunities to divert from that and teach my students on the fly, off the top of my head, in the moment. Those were what made the difference between myself and other teachers where I went. I could go off script. I could do things off the top of my head because I had such a wealth of knowledge and experience. I didn't have to rely on books, and I could just freeform it. And those were the times when the light bulbs went off. I want to talk about my children. I have 2 boys. Like I said, one has a master's degree in engineering, did academically excellent. He did have a parochial education through kindergarten and high school. And I found that since it worked for me, that it would likely work for him. Now, he had a lot of the social anxiety issues. He was quiet and shy. I saw some of myself in him. And I did what I could to kind of help him out. I got him into things. I tried to be a mentor, not just a father, get him interested in things like he was a student. He was never officially diagnosed, but I could see he had similar issues. My younger son, remarkably intelligent. I'm going to say arguably had better understanding of at least language when he was a toddler than my older son did, but ended up being far more on the autism spectrum disorder scale. He had difficulties, and we haven't diagnosed. He's had therapy. He's been on medications and things like that. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with the treatment he's been given, but let's just say this. All 3 of us, myself and both of my sons, exhibit certain identifiers. We are all high on the intellectual scale, and we all have some compromised executive functioning skills. Myself, I did not have the resources that exist today. I didn't know what was going on. My parents didn't know. All they did is they just put me wherever people said I should go. So I never received a lot of treatment at all. I was kind of self-taught and had to maintain a working capability within the classroom and outside the classroom on my own with minimal guidance. My older son was kind of, he doesn't have much of a tolerance for people that aren't above average in intelligence. So he's one of these people that is just a nerd. Now he went into chemical engineering and he loves the math. He did math. I jokingly say, maybe he's got a problem I never had. But anyway, neither here nor there on that one. He's a math nerd. And physics and chemistry tagged right along with it. I'm more of a life, earth, and space science kind of guy, personally. Now, my younger son, not great at math, but he does like the science stuff. So I think there is some correlation there across all three of us. The other thing that you notice is, at least with my younger son, an obvious compromised functionality in the sense that he gets repetitive. He's very rigid in his thoughts and outlooks on life. And unlike myself, my older son, he's not shy. He's not really introverted. He will say whatever is on his mind at any given moment with, I'm going to say, little or no filtering. That can get him into trouble. And it has from time to time. We deal with it as it comes along. For him, our problem now is he is no longer a child. He is an adult, legally speaking, and there's a lot of things we have to go through that are different than we've dealt with my older son, and things that I never went through. IEPs. For those of you that are parents or educators or administrators, IEPs are a fact of life these days. I'm not going to give you an opinion about them. They're just something that you're going to have to get used to. My trouble in the early days when I was growing up, I can relate to what my sons went through. And I've come to the suspicion that there's a biological component to it. And I don't want to dismiss the other theories out there having to do with vaccines and other things, but I want to leave those off the table. I'll mention them, but I'm not going to discuss them. Here's the other part. It makes things very difficult for all three of us. I'm adopted. I don't have any medical records from my biological family. I do have some records, but very, very minimal. They would have been done as part of the adoption screening process and would not have diagnosed or maintained any records from that point on. I have met my biological father twice. He has met both of my children. I did not maintain a relationship with him while my adoptive parents were alive. My sister, my only sibling, advised against it. Now that both my parents have passed, both of my adoptive parents have passed away, I am considering reinstituting, reconnecting with my biological father. Let's get to the final point that I want to make here. The special educator is a resource that I have established for you. The goal of this is to provide my own personal experiences as a student, as an educator, and as a parent, from all those different perspectives, provide a resource for parents, educators, and other students that has a fresh way of looking at things. I'm not some licensed therapist. I'm not going to sit here and, go through all that with you, but I will give you some advice, give you some insight into things that might be helpful to any of you. So before I get going, this again is just the first posting on the spectrum and special notes and things like that. There will be more. I'm going to do a whole series of them. As topics come up, I'll present them. So this is just the initial introduction. I'm going to ask you to like, follow, subscribe, and get notified through the special educator. I'm Tom Hankins, your instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. One last thing to get in touch with me. Website, tsegrp.org. Email, host at tsegrp.org. Facebook, X, and Rumble at tsegrp. YouTube at tsedgrp. Instagram and LinkedIn, The Special Educator. Till next time, take care. Peace, love, and happiness to you all.